My husband died on a Friday. By Sunday, the children had packed up and gone back to their own lives. Monday morning, I woke up completely alone in an apartment where I'd lived for 47 years straight. The silence hit me like a freight train, so deafening I actually covered my ears with my hands. I was 74 years old, and for the first time in decades, I had absolutely no idea what came next. Friends, write in the comments where you're watching us from. And hit like if you want to know what's the most surprising and unexpected thing about starting over at 74. Right now, I know exactly how to live. Back then, I was completely lost in my own home. Let me tell you what nobody warned you about when your whole world crumbles in a single weekend. The first week after Harold passed, my house turned into Grand Central Station. Neighbors bringing casseroles, relatives hovering around. But here's the brutal truth. You don't actually feel anything that first week because you're running on pure adrenaline. Your brain goes into survival mode, checking off boxes, funeral arrangements, paperwork, thank you cards, feeding people who came to help. I moved through those days like a robot programmed for grief, efficient, polite, completely numb inside. The real nightmare started in week 2 when everyone went back to their normal lives and left me with mine. That's when the silence became my new roommate. And let me tell you, silence is the worst roommate you'll ever have. My phone used to ring constantly. Harold's business calls, social plans, family check-ins, appointment confirmations. Suddenly it might ring twice a day if I was lucky, and both calls would be my daughter asking, "How are you holding up, Mom?" I'd always answer, "I'm managing fine, sweetie," because what else do you say? The truth is too heavy for a phone call. The truth was, I couldn't remember the last time I'd eaten a real meal instead of crackers standing over the kitchen sink. Sleep became this cruel joke. I'd lie awake until 3 a.m. because Harold always stayed up watching his war documentaries. Then I'd finally drift off and wake up at 5:30 sharp, because that's when I always made his coffee for 51 years. But here's what really nobody tells you about grief. It makes you stupid. And I mean literally stupid. I'd drive to the supermarket, walk inside, and stand there like a lost child because I'd completely forgotten why I came. One morning, I spent 20 minutes looking for my glasses while wearing them. And another day, I put orange juice in my coffee instead of milk. My daughter Sarah called this widow brain, like giving it a name would somehow make it less terrifying. But when your mind starts failing you right when you need it most, it feels like losing yourself piece by piece. The absolute rock bottom hit me exactly 4 weeks after the funeral, on a Tuesday afternoon that I'll never forget. I was sitting in Harold's recliner, which still smelled like his aftershave and pipe tobacco, reading his unfinished crossword puzzle. Suddenly I realized that everyone else had moved on with their lives while mine had just completely stopped cold. My neighbors were planning summer vacations. My sister was redecorating her kitchen. My children were dealing with back-to-school shopping for the grandkids. Meanwhile, I was stuck in this weird time warp where every day felt exactly like the day Harold died. That's when I made the phone call that probably saved my life, though I didn't know it at the time. I need help. And I don't know what kind of help I need, but I'm drowning here. Michael went quiet for so long I thought the call had dropped. Then he said, "Mom, I'll be there tomorrow morning." He drove 6 hours from Chicago and walked into my house like he was seeing it for the first time. "Mom," he said gently, "when's the last time you showered? Or opened these curtains? Or threw away expired food?" I looked around and saw what he saw. Dishes piled up, mail scattered everywhere, me in the same nightgown I'd worn for 3 days straight. That's when I understood that grief isn't just emotional. It's physical, mental, and completely takes over every single aspect of your existence. Michael spent the weekend helping me clean up, but more importantly, he helped me see that I wasn't losing my mind. "Mom, you're not going crazy," he said while we folded laundry together. "You're going through something that would break most people." We talked about Dad for hours. Really talked, not just the polite, "he was a good man" conversations from the funeral. Michael told me stories about Harold I'd never heard. Things they talked about during their fishing trips. Advice Dad had given him about marriage. He made me promise to check on you, but not in a way that made you feel like a burden. That conversation changed everything because I realized Harold had actually prepared for this day, even if I hadn't. Before Michael left that Sunday, he said something that hit me like a lightning bolt. Not because no one else will, but because you deserve to know who Margaret is when she's not being someone's wife. Those words terrified me because I honestly couldn't remember the last time I'd made a decision without considering Harold's opinion first. So what actually saved me during those darkest months? Let me tell you the truth, not the pretty version people want to hear. First thing that pulled me back from the edge: routine. Any routine, doesn't matter how small or stupid it seems. Every morning at 7, I'd get up, make my bed, brew tea, get dressed like I had somewhere important to go. Even when I had absolutely nowhere to be, I'd put on real clothes, not pajamas. Your body needs to believe life continues. Friends, write in the comments where you're watching us from, and hit like if you want to know what's the most surprising and unexpected part. The second lifeline: one real human meeting every single week, not a phone call, not a text. A living person sitting next to me. I joined a knitting circle at the community center. Not because I love knitting, I'm terrible at it actually, but every Thursday at 2 p.m. there were 5 other women there. We'd talk about everything except what we were supposed to be doing. I'd tell him about my day, about the neighbor's cat, about what I saw on the news. He doesn't answer, but somehow I feel heard. My daughter walked in once and found me mid-conversation. She looked terrified, thought I was losing my mind completely. But the grief counselor said it's completely normal. It helps your brain process the reality gradually instead of all at once. The fourth rescue came from the most unexpected place. Mrs. Chen next door needed help with her grandkids after school. She works double shifts. Her daughter lives across the country. I started watching Tommy and Lisa from 3 to 6. Suddenly I had a reason to buy groceries again. Someone needed snacks. Someone needed help with math homework. That last question hit like a truck. But I realized when someone needs you, really needs you, you're living again, not just surviving. The Johnsons needed someone to water plants during vacation. Simple things, but they added up to something bigger than myself. 6 months after Robert died, I did something that would have been impossible before. I signed up to volunteer at the hospital. Every Tuesday morning, I read to children in the cancer ward. These kids fighting battles that make my problems seem smaller. I told her the truth. I'm sad because someone I loved very much went away. But reading to you makes me happy. She nodded like that made perfect sense. Children understand grief better than adults sometimes. They don't try to fix it. Now here's what nobody tells you about the first year after losing your life partner. You discover who you are without them. For 47 years, I was half of Robert and Helen. Every decision was we think, or we want, or we should do. I hadn't chosen a restaurant alone since 1976. Hadn't picked a TV show without checking if he'd like it too. The first time I went to see a romantic comedy, Robert hated them. I felt like I was cheating. Ridiculous, right? I painted the guest bedroom yellow, bright, sunny yellow. He always said it would be too loud for our house. I started eating dinner at the kitchen counter instead of the dining table. Seemed small, but it felt revolutionary. These weren't betrayals of his memory. They were discoveries of parts of myself that had been sleeping for decades. The hardest part wasn't the big milestones everyone warns you about. Holidays, anniversaries, birthdays. It was the tiny, unexpected moments. Finding his coffee mug in the dishwasher 3 weeks later and completely falling apart. Or automatically buying his favorite yogurt at the store, then standing in the dairy aisle crying over Greek vanilla. I had to say the words out loud to a stranger. My husband passed away 6 months ago. It felt like swallowing glass. But here's what saved me during those wave days. I had somewhere to go now. People who needed me to show up. When you're drowning in your own sorrow, sometimes the only way out is to be useful to someone else. 1 year after Robert died, I woke up and realized something had shifted. The pain was still there, but it had changed shape. I could think about our good times without immediately drowning in what I'd lost. I could remember his laugh without breaking down. My children noticed the difference when they came for Sunday dinner. Yes, I started hosting again. My daughter pulled me aside in the kitchen and said, "Mom, you seem more like yourself again. Different, but yourself." Different. That was the perfect word. I wasn't the same Helen who had been married for 47 years. That person was gone forever. But I wasn't just Robert's widow anymore either. I was becoming Helen, period. Helen who helps kids with homework and volunteers and laughs at romantic comedies. Last month, I decided to take a watercolor class. At 75. Robert would have worried about the expense, the mess, whether I had talent. But for 2 hours every Wednesday, I'm completely absorbed in mixing colors and trying to capture light. It's pure joy. Tommy asked me last week, "Mrs. Henderson, are you still sad about Mr. Henderson?" Such a direct little soul. I thought about it carefully before answering. I miss him every single day. But I'm not just sad anymore. I'm other things too. He nodded solemnly, then asked if we could make cookies. 7-year-olds have the right idea about processing emotions. If you're watching this and you're in that dark place I was 18 months ago, I won't lie and say it gets easy. I can't promise your pain will disappear or that you'll feel normal again, because normal doesn't exist anymore. But I can promise you this: it's possible to build a meaningful life after losing everything you thought defined you. But it can still be yours. It can still have purpose, connection, even joy. Different joy, but real joy nonetheless. The woman who was drowning in silence 18 months ago now fills her days with voices, purpose, and yes, even adventure. I'm not grateful Robert died. That would be insane. But I'm grateful I discovered I could survive it and build something new. This isn't the life I planned. It's not the life I would have chosen, but it's mine, and I'm living it fully. That's my story of survival. Not just getting through each day, but actually living again. It's possible. I promise you, it's possible.